What scientific breakthrough are we closer to than we realize? Insanely effective cancer treatments. Cell therapy is absolutely crazy, and it's available for a fair few diseases. A cure for HIV seems to be on the horizon. Some scientists managed to cut it out of cells using CRISPR last year. A cure for symptomatic rabies. Using monoclonal antibodies, scientists were able to alter the immune response in rats' CNS significantly into infection. This is awesome because before this treatment, once you showed symptoms, you were essentially dead. Rabies is also a lot more common in Asia and Africa, with roughly 56,000 cases a year. I have a lot of family that works in different pharma companies. We were recently discussing that there is a very promising treatment for Alzheimer's in the works that could stop the progression of the disease and maybe reverse some of the brain damage. It's still in testing phase and wouldn't be on the market for years, but it's something that would be awesome to be able to use. Vaccines for herpes and Lyme's disease are in deep, successful clinical trials and should be available to the public very soon. Early diagnosis and treatment of Parkinson's, I think. I've been following a story for a few years now of a woman who could smell Parkinson's and is now working with researchers to turn her weird, unique ability into an early screening test. Growing transplantable organs. Genetic editing. I think we'll soon see news of experimental gene therapy treatments for cancer, diabetes, and perhaps Alzheimer's, CRISPR-9 and all. The next logical step would be designer babies. Brain-computer interface. I worked on one 10 years ago. It barely worked, but you could see the potential. However, a few weeks ago, someone played a 6-hour Civilization 6 session using only their brain. They're hoping that a new drug will be available for use by 2030 that essentially grows your teeth back. It stimulates stem cells in your tooth pulp and encourages growth. Also, to my understanding, this drug was originally being tested as an Alzheimer treatment in Japan. Synthetic biology. Shit's going to get weird real soon. Imagine living comfortably to 100, 200 years old. Nuclear fusion reaction that sets a new record for duration or temperature. A technological leap forward in battery storage capacity, cheaper and lighter weight. This will have the biggest impact on everyday life. This is rather an engineering issue, but a lot of scientists are working on this as well. RGB micro displays. We can currently build fairly efficient blue and green microLEDs from indium gallium nitride, but the red ones are missing. Red LEDs have been available for much longer than their blue counterparts, but we currently cannot make them small enough for a high PPI display. Many researchers and companies are trying to get the red ones working with several different approaches, and I believe we will see the first commercial applications, starting from smartwatches, smartphones, and AR/VR goggles within the next 5 years. Understanding how hormones and mental illness are linked, especially in women who previously were diagnosed with mental illness but who had endocrine disorders, and to add menopause. In response to the Lancet's awful claim of over-medicalization, scores of researchers the world over have doubled down to learn more. Curing addiction with a diet drug, GLP-1s. There have been lifelong alcoholics, drug addicts, people with eating disorders, gamblers, etc. who've lost all desire for these things while on Ozempic, Wegovy, and semaglutide. They're conducting studies already. Geothermal energy. People have figured out how to reuse all the drilling technology developed for fracking to dig geothermal wells almost anywhere. Geothermal has the benefits of nuclear, reliable baseband power, without the downsides. The footprint is smaller, and unlike nuclear power, you can turn it on and off pretty quickly, which is important for filling the gaps in green energy when the sun doesn't shine or the wind stops blowing. The US government just cleared out almost all the red tape for digging geothermal wells on public land, too. Basically, it is now as easy to dig a geothermal well as it is to dig an oil well. They are even looking at using geothermal wells, like batteries, by pumping water into them and pressurizing them, so when there is an excess of solar or wind electricity, it can be stored in the geothermal wells. Semaglutide in pill form at a greatly reduced price. Wegovy also has been proven to reduce cardiovascular disease in particular and make recurring cardiac events less likely for patients who've already experienced a cardiac event. Some independent pharmacies are already creating semaglutide pills. Artificial intelligence in medicine and surgery. We have already started using it. It's just a matter of time when healthcare will be dominated by it. Large-scale water desalination. It may seem trivial to most people, but access to fresh water and water purification are the largest problems on the planet. Desalination has been extremely expensive for years, and never has the investment needed to break the scalability barrier. Well, our friends in the Middle East claim to have made some huge accomplishments over the last few years, thanks to graphene and access to abundant power. Their new plants should be coming online next year. Not having to worry about access to clean water would mean massive jumps in agriculture, industrialization, and population. To not be able to trust any digital images, videos, or audio you see anywhere. Politics are going to go straight into a dumpster fire among countless other scandals, relationships, and virtually everything. Get ready. To-go containers for French fries that will keep them both hot and crispy. The breakthrough happened, cleaning the oceans of garbage. Now it needs to be more than a ship or two. Believe it or not, communicating with animals by translating brainwaves into human language. Apparently, AI research is on the verge of doing so. I don't know, but it's not curing diabetes. They said it'd be cured in 10 years, 20 years ago. Susan Shore's Oracle device is capable of treating tinnitus, reducing volume by up to 75% after 12 weeks of treatment, and is approved for FDA. Artificial wombs already have biobag wombs used on premature sheep and pigs, soon to go to human trial for premature babies in the USA. Probs eventually will be able to support a fetus earlier and earlier in gestation over time. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't have cures for really awful diseases like some cancers, ALS, dementia, etc. in the pike, and nearly ready to go. I'm sure we're close.